Hello, welcome to our classes. I am Dr. K.K. Misra. This video tutorial is on multiple choice questions on goods and services tax GST. This is part 7. Now come to the question. Question number 1. A debit note is issued to the recipient of goods or services if options are A. Taxable value is found to be excess, B. The goods are returned by the recipient, C. Goods supplied are found to be deficient, D. Tax charged is found to be lesser. The correct option is D. Tax charged is found to be lesser. Question number 2. Mr. P supplied goods of rupees 1 lakh to Mr. Q, who returned goods of rupees 10,000 due to inferior quality. Mr. P will later issue options are A. Credit note, B. Debit note, C. Tax invoice, D. Delivery challan. The correct option is A. Credit note. 3. A credit note is issued to the recipient of goods in the following cases: A. When the taxable value of goods found to be less, B. Tax charge found to be less, C. When the recipient refuses to make payment, D. None of these. Here correct option is D. None of these. 4. Mr. X supplied goods to Mr. Y. The cost was rupees 1 lakh but wrongly billed as rupees 10,000. Mr. X will later issue A. Debit note to Mr. B. Y. B. Credit note to Mr. Y. C. Tax invoice to Mr. Y. D. Delivery challan to Mr. Y. So here correct option is A. Debit note to Mr. Y. 5. In the case of supply of liquid gas, where the quantity at the time of removal from the place of business of the supplier is not known. Options are A. Delivery challan is not required, B. Tax invoice is not required, C. Debit note is required, D. Credit note is required. So here correct option is B. Tax invoice is not required. 6. In the case of transportation of goods for job work, A. Delivery challan is required, B. Tax invoice is required, C. Debit note is required, D. Credit note is required. So here correct option is A. Delivery challan is required. 7. The eligible input tax will be automatically credited to the A. Electronic credit ledger, B. Electronic cash ledger, C. Electronic liability register, D. None of these. Here correct option is A. Electronic credit ledger. 8. Every deposit made towards the tax shall be credited to A. Electronic credit ledger, B. Electronic cash ledger, C. Electronic liability register, D. None of these. So here correct option is B. Electronic cash ledger. 9. The input tax credit as self-assessed in the return of a registered person shall be credited to his electronic A. Cash ledger, B. Liability register, C. Credit ledger, D. Debit ledger. So here correct option is C. Credit ledger. 10. IGST credit shall first be utilized towards payment of A. CGST, B. SGST, C. IGST, D. UTGST. So here correct option is C. IGST. 11. The balance of IGST credit after set of IGST can be issued towards the payment of A. CGST, B. SGST, C. IGST, D. UTGST. So here correct option is A. CGST. 12. The balance of CGST credit after set of CGST can be used towards the payment of A. SGST, B. UTGST, C. Either SGST or UTGST, D. IGST. So here correct option is D. IGST. 13. SGST or UTGST shall not be utilized towards payment of A. CGST, B. IGST, C. SGST, D. UTGST. So here correct option is A. CGST. 14. Tax and other dues of a registered person is recorded in A. Electronic credit ledger, B. Electronic cash ledger, C. Electronic liability ledger register, D. None of these. So here correct option is C. Electronic liability register. 15. The electronic liability register of a person shall be credited by A. the amount of payable towards tax, B. the amount of penalty or any other amount payable, C. any amount of interest that may accrue from time to time, or D. none of these. So, your correct option is D. none of these. 16. Balance of input credit of SGST after output tax liability of SGST can be utilized to set off A. CGST, B. UTGST, C IGST, D. none of these. Here correct option is C IGST. 17. Every person who fails to pay tax shall be liable to pay interest not exceeding A. 10%, B. 12%, C. 18%, D. 24%. So, here correct option is C 18%. 18. A taxable person who makes an undue or excess claim of input tax credit shall be liable to pay interest not exceeding A. 10%, B. 12%, C. 18%, D. 24%. So, here correct option is D. 24%. 19. TDS rate under GST is, options are A. 1%, B. 2%, C. 3%, D. 5%. So, here correct option is A. 1%. 20. TDS provision applicable only when the total value of supply under a contract exceeds A. rupees 1 lakh, B. rupees 1,50,000, C. rupees 2 lakhs, D. rupees 2,50,000. The correct option is D. rupees 2,50,000. 21. TDS is not allowed in the case of A. a department or state government, B. local authority, C. governmental agencies, D. e-commerce operators. So, here correct option is D. e-commerce operator. 22. For the purpose of TDS, the value of supply shall be taken as the amount in the invoice, A. excluding tax, B. including tax, C. before discount, D. none of these. The correct option is A. excluding tax. 23. After making TDS, if the deductor fails to furnish the certificate within 5 days of crediting the amounts to deducted to the government, the deductor shall pay a late fee of A. rupees 100 per day, B. rupees 150 per day, C. rupees 200 per day, D. rupees 250 per day. So, the correct option is A. rupees 100 per day. 24. Collection of tax at source is relevant in the case of A. government departments, B. e-commerce operators, C. any GST dealers, D. contractors. The correct option is B. e-commerce operators. 25. TCS rate under GST is A. 5%, B. 2%, C. 3%, D. 1%. So, here TDS rate under GST, here it is normally 1%. Here it is wrongly written, it is not TCS, it is TDS. 26. E-commerce operators should submit return of TDS A. monthly, B. every 3 months, C. every year, D. monthly or annually. So, here correct option is D. monthly and annually. 27. Refund of GST is not applicable in the case of A. imports, B. notified multilateral function institution, C. embassy of foreign countries, D. zero rated supplies. So, the correct option is A. imports. 28. A situation where the rate of tax on input is more than the rate of tax on output is A. inverted duty structure, B. excess input tax credit, C. compensation cess, D. refund. So, the correct option is A. inverted duty structure. 29. GST paid for supplies exported from the country is A. refunded to the exporter, B. refunded only if exported from SGEG, C. not refunded, D. refunded to the state from which export happens. Here correct option is A. refunded to the exporter. 30. GST registration is mandatory if the aggregate turnover in a financial year exceeds A. rupees 20 lakh, B. rupees 50 lakh, C. rupees 75 lakh, D. rupees 1 crore. The correct option is A. rupees 20 lakh. 31. In a specified category states, GST registration is mandatory if the aggregate turnover in a financial year exceeds, options are A. rupees 1 crore, B. rupees 10 lakh, C. rupees 20 lakh, D. rupees 75 lakh. The correct option is C, rupees 20 lakh. All about this video tutorial. I hope that you have liked this video tutorial in view of your examinations which you are to write very soon. If you have liked it, please do not forget to subscribe my YouTube channel R Classes and press the bell button so that you can be getting notifications of further uploads. Please do forward it to others also, those who are needy now and in the future. Thank you. Please like, share and subscribe. Thank you very much. Have a nice time. Best of luck.